Welcome to Webway Radio. This is episode 10.
I'm Kurt.
I'm Mark.
And today we're going to have an interesting discussion.
Yeah, it's kind of just casual conversation. We've got some points that we want to discuss, but there's a lot to the topic. It's interconnected with so many different things. It's kind of hard to isolate it.
So we started with has Games Workshop kind of spread themselves too thin, but I think we kind of transitioned to a different discussion about, we talk about Primaris Marines a lot, more than I thought we would, but just the release windows and how they used to do it and all the kind of neat inner workings and kind of how we could fix it.
Yeah, just kind of, in a lot of ways, it's kind of just the experience as being someone who's playing the game and it's just like on our side of the fence, kind of like purchasing stuff and experiencing the game.
And it's not necessarily our gripes. It kind of feels like that towards the end. We still like Games Workshop and all their things, mostly. Yeah, I think we had a good little chat about this.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it.
I got to use my Kurt, like, I've played for 20 years history again.
Did.
So
he even shook his walking stick.
I did at one point. Oh my God. All right, so let's take a quick break and we will come back with Hobby Progress.
Sounds good. Okay, so you ready to start with our hobby progress?
Yeah. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
What little is there? Yeah, I can go first this time.
All right.
So I've done a lot of list building now that Scourge of Ghyran?
General's Handbook 2526.
That one, yeah.
Came out.
Now that that's out, I have actually retooled my list a little bit for the next round of our Escalation League.
Okay. You've started working on that? Because I haven't started working on that.
I already submitted my list.
I got overwhelmed. Oh my gosh, you're so far ahead of the game, man.
So to be fair, I had all my lists planned out before, but I went in. The main change is I did not reinforce my Agrodon unit, and instead I have a Carnosaur.
Oh.
That's really scary and buffs what Agrodons I do have. So we're going to see. I'm going to start with a very powerful centerpiece at 1,000 points and see if that can't deal some damage and see how he...
On that same note, I looked at adding the vulture character, and I just don't know that I could do 330 points.
It's rough.
So I'm going to hold off one more round of the Escalation League, and I think just do more units.
Yeah.
I think I'll do one 20-man Kruleboy and add another 10-man and...
See how that goes.
Yeah, because I like how they perform now that I've kind of learned my rules.
Yeah.
It's just figuring all that out.
Yeah, the original Carnosaur, there's like a really cheap one that's like $230
something,
and then the normal one is $270, and the Ghyran one's $340.
Oh, my.
And so I brought the $340, but you can see why I had to shuffle some things because that's expensive. A third of my list walking around on one base.
So no physical painting, assembling, anything like that?
Tiny bit. I did. I guess. Well, purchases count, right?
Purchases count.
I have. Since my celebration of me getting older is coming up in about a week from us recording this.
Maybe I should have bought me something.
Yeah, you should buy you something. Yeah. But I got the new Blackout stuff, which is a new set of scenarios and 2 new factions. And just for the sake of shipping, I got the other set of handlers that we haven't played with. So it's like a sniper and a data and a melee handler.
To see how a sniper works. Interesting.
Yeah. And then, so one of them's kind of like Insurgents, and they're kind of Horde-ish for this game, which is only 9 models, but they have resurrecting models. And the other one's all about close range damage. Like they have a little turret dog thing.
I'd be really curious to see how that plays.
Yeah, it looks cool. The little turret dog thing, you know how you can like ready and be an Overwatch?
Right.
It never unreadies when it's doing stuff. So it can just endlessly Overwatch.
That's really cool.
It's horrifying, but really cool.
But,
Yeah, so they're a much leader thing. But yeah. So I got those in last night, actually.
So the picture you sent was actually your stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just thought you like pulled it off their Discord or something.
Nope.
Okay.
That was me.
Man.
Yep. More Battletech stuff. I've shuffled some stuff around. I've basically assigned all of the mechs I own now. There were some I gave to Christian.
Sure.
which weren't the ones that we traded for. But
it's not mine anymore. Do what you want with them.
I have assigned those mechs to factions now. So it's kind of just all those got put in little separate plastic baggies. And so whenever I have time to prime and paint those, but it's kind of, this is
weather
the parameter.
Is not.
Oh, it's awful. Oh, it's so bad. So humid, so hot.
There was a window yesterday. I ran out and primed a few things, but it's all like, and then by the time I got back out there, it's like, oh, the humidity went up again. I can't do anything else.
By the time I get back from work, it's just like I don't have a window and I don't have the space really either. So I'm going to have to figure out something. I don't know how, but I got to get some stuff primed because I'm really itching to paint something.
That is a huge bonus for having the airbrush, though. I mean, I wouldn't do a whole army, but just like a couple models.
Just to do something.
It's nice just to be able to do that.
Yeah. But so that's my hobby progress or lack thereof. What about you?
I assembled the vulture characters for Kruleboyz.
Okay.
I left the characters off of the model. And what I really hate about it is the feet is molded onto the bird. And the characters sit on the throne and their feet connect to that as like a contact point.
Oh, wow. That's weird.
So I'm going to have to figure out how to magnetize that better.
Right.
I don't know. It just, I was like, I'll just swap it. It's like, I can't just like print a second one of those and slop them in there.
That's obnoxious.
Yeah, it's a pain. And then I was going to print the vulture you see on the table. I printed the vulture you see on the table, but because there's no feet on those models, it looks weird.
Yeah.
And so now I'm at a very weird place where like, well, what do I do with this gigantic vulture in a tree that I just printed?
Find some other random orc and throw them on top of the vulture, I guess.
I think I'm going to have to figure that out. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I worked on that. So I got both of those put together, which was really cool.
They look really cool. Just seeing the primed one over there on the table, that looks really nice.
I'm so excited to start painting that.
Like,
and not like crazy Drakari feathers, but like vulture feathers. So now I'm going to spend like 3 days looking up how to paint vultures because he's big.
Yeah, he's quite large.
The kids were playing with my Legions Imperialis models and 3D prints and terrain and all that. I guess the last couple of days. And my daughter was like, Dad, can I paint some of these bugs? I was like, of course, sweetheart. So I let her paint some of those. My son painted his Titanic. And then she was like, can we get more bugs? Because there's a few, but not a lot.
Yeah.
So I did an entire build plate of Tyranids that are in front of you.
Yeah, they look awesome.
And man, they're so cool. Like,
Tyranids
and as we talked pre-podcast here, it's like, man, Epic looks like it would be so cool.
Just all the little, I can have a million little guys and it doesn't
and there's like
10 hours
9 gaunts on that little base. And it's so cool. Carnifexes and all the things. So.
Yeah, it's neat. Oh yeah, I guess, well, your hobby progress and mine, but I did commission you to
print up some Battletech terrain.
Yes, 3D. That came out
really good.
Yeah, I am really impressed with it. I figured it would be sufficient, but there are buildings that are built into hexes, so I can just set them down. I have a neoprene
and they fit
mat,
on the mat,
and I can just place them down, and they look so cool. They look so good. There's really
a mix
excited.
Of like really tall and wide, so it blocks line of sight, or you have to go around it, or over it, or
jump on it, or
And there's definitely room. So like curious.
I'm very impressed with it because I have me and Connor and Christian have a BattleTech game planned for late July. Christian and I are going to go up there and spend the night.
Up. Okay, I was going to say, let me know if it's close, but
it's probably 2 hours away.
Not for that.
No, I do not blame you. It's a bit of a hike, but we're going to have like an all day session.
No, that sounds fantastic.
It will be really cool. We have our lists already all sorted and stuff. It's like I have here are my 9 little guys that I'm going to go with. And so
that's awesome.
Yep.
I also printed a texture roller for Jordan's Fireslayer bases.
Looks really cool.
I'm scared.
Oh,
because you use the DAS air dry clay and you flatten it out with a rolling pin, and then you literally take this roller and just roll over it, and then you have the base cutters and you cut out the 25 millimeter or 32 millimeter or 180, whatever the base size is.
Yeah.
And you just cut it out of the DAS clay and you wad it just like making cookies with mom.
Yeah.
And then you flatten it back out, you hit it with the roller again, and you cut out more bases. They just air dry.
Interesting.
And I don't know how thick they're going to be yet, so I don't know if they're just going to be toppers or bases or what. But either way, I'm kind of excited to see how this goes.
That will be really cool.
I hope.
Are you you said you were going to print the cutters?
Yeah, it's just little circle like cookie cutters in 32 millimeter and 25 millimeter, and you roll it out and just, like you're doing cookies with grandma,
I was curious how sharp those had to be. I guess not very.
Just little, just making circles.
Oh, yeah. No, that'll be really cool. It looks very, very thematic, which
I think technically the roller is like the arid wasteland or whatever, but they came with little stamps, almost like I don't know. It's you roll out your bases or whatever, or you flatten it out. You do the roller, and then you put these little stamps to emulate lava flow.
That's really
inside
cool.
of the arid looking like rocky molten.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how this goes. That's
really
my
cool.
project tomorrow. So expect a ton of pictures in the Discord, which anybody can join, by the way. If you message us on Facebook or something, let us know. I'll get you an invite. Just don't want to open up a public invite, let the scammers and the bots in. That's the last thing I need right now.
Yeah, we do have it formatted a little bit more now to accommodate.
You actually went in and did permissions earlier this week, so thank you.
You're welcome.
I've talked about doing that for like 6 months and just haven't.
I've been moderator on several servers before, so I had to learn that the hard way. And I was shaking some rust off, and a lot of the bots I used.
You didn't kill the server, so
I didn't. I tested it on my own server off to the side first.
I have the original Webway radio server that So that's kind of my testing ground. Like, what can I tear up today?
Yeah, just to make sure you don't blow it up. Yep, and yeah, so that is
cool, man.
Tentatively working. Nothing's blown up yet.
But no, I started painting the tower of whatever the broken down tower is too. So I got the first couple layers, top couple layers. I'm painting top down, just base coated to kind of see what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Before I really commit, like the inside wood and stuff like that, and like how much is visible, how much do I need to, where can I skimp and not paint where you can't see inside of it, stuff like that.
Right, when it's sealed in some areas and there's a roof on it, like there's
exactly.
so much.
So that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out, and I primed it black, then hit it with a gray. So the outside's pretty much done. Mine is like a wash and some highlights.
Really good already.
But for just a stone tower, like it's decent,
I mean, yeah, just like wash, dry brush, boom. There's your stone.
That is the plan.
It looks really nice.
So we'll see. But yeah, lots of stuff happening. Jordan got her first unit of Fire Slayers assembled. I don't know if we talked about that last time or not.
No, I don't think so. I think
she came out here and hobbied a couple evenings.
They look really good.
They're very short.
They are very short.
I don't want to paint all that skin at that scale. That's a lot. That's her problem.
Hey, gotta learn how to paint skin at some point.
I'm sure I'll airbrush base coats, but it's fine. But I think that is it for hobby progress.
It is for me.
I know it has been a barren wasteland here for me playing games since our last, I guess, we played games back to back there. Have you played anything?
Not war games. I've played board games, but
anything you want to talk about?
I don't know if you ever heard, I think it was a Kickstarter game called Rising Sun.
I've probably heard of it and seen the Kickstarter.
It's like a map of feudal Japan, but you can purchase units that are like mythological monsters and stuff as you go.
Oh.
And it's like a weird Risk area control with models and like fighting and stuff. But like all the fighting is bidding. There's no dice in the game. You get resources and you spend resources on aspects of the combat, and whoever spends the most on any given thing wins that section.
Oh, yes.
So there's a lot of mind games. I know he has 10 coins.
Sure.
So I have 20. I can do this and still win, but like you won't be able to win every aspect likely. Right. And then whoever wins has to distribute all the coins they bet to all the other players that were in that combat.
That's pretty cool.
It was really cool.
Huh.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I went to Barnes & Noble yesterday with the kids, and I saw they had a zombie side with like the DC characters.
They're doing DC now as well.
Kinda. So it was only $50, and I was like, something's off. And it's kind of like the zombie side you would know and love.
Yeah.
Except there's only 9 miniatures, so it's like the 6 characters, the 3 big bad guys, and everybody else are like cardboard stand-in tokens, which is fine. I don't need like 47 thugs,
Yes.
I still get to build and paint Batman, and do you really want to sit and paint like 150 zombies? Because I don't want to paint 150 zombies.
No, but seeing the 150 zombies on the table always looks really cool.
Yeah, but that's a lot of work. So I sent that to a buddy and was like, hey, check this out. So I don't know. I might pick that up one day. I still want to get the X-Men zombie side.
I forgot they made X-Men zombie side. I knew they did Marvel.
I guess it's Marvel and there's just an X-Men expansion. But that's what I've seen in store and just been like, oh my gosh, take all of my money.
I need to eventually, it is so far back burner, but eventually I would like to own Black Plague because
we have all of them.
We
have all the Black Plagues.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Come play.
Well.
Yeah, that's the one we play the most.
Yeah.
In fact, that's the only one we have, but I think we have all but like one expansion we can't find. Do
you have the Archers?
I don't know. Maybe they're in that bag over there. We can look when we're done here. Or when we take a break.
I'll make a note.
Kurt's zombie side. All right, so I think that's it for hobby progress, and that's non-existent for games played. So let's take a quick break.
Sounds good.
And we will come right back and talk about our main topic.
Yes. So, for our main topic today, we have had this one, I guess, on the back burner for a little bit.
We've talked about it because we have a big list of topics.
Yes.
We've talked about this one for a while, even before we started recording. And it was like, write that down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, our topic for today is basically, this will be kind of a discussion. I don't know if we'll reach an answer or not, but does Games Workshop, are they spread too thin? Do they have too many games? Like their current state where they're at, is it good or bad? And I think before anything, there is a mix of good and bad.
Right. And before we dive in, I want to say, like, I love Games Workshop for the most part. There's things I don't like, and we've ripped on them before. So I don't want this to be like super negative.
No.
But just a discussion, like, have they spread themselves too thin?
Yeah.
So I know you've got some ideas.
I do.
Where do we want to start with this?
So I guess just an acknowledgement up front of how many games they have, because
so many.
They have 40K, which is the full war game. They have what is it? Combat Patrol is the technically
Combat
separate,
Patrol. Right?
But,
yes, but
they still have to write rules for it.
I feel like Combat Patrol is one of those things that they were like, all right, guys, we're shipping this with this edition. Let's have a lunch meeting and bang this out for the armies. And we're done in an hour.
I have heard it's, in some ways, it's better balanced, but that's been a while.
Right. And the rules are different, but I don't know. But that's kind of how those small games feel to me.
Yeah, they seem like an afterthought. It's, let's make a box that people who are going to play 40K can get and have a decent army. But so 40K, Kill Team, which is very different and has changed.
And it is its own game.
A lot.
It has its own editions.
Separate.
It has its own boxes.
Yep. Its own model line. I mean, Necromunda, also completely separate, like completely separate terrain, completely separate. The entire model line is completely removed from regular 40K or anything
Mostly.
else.
I mean, you got Gene Stealers and things, but yes,
But they still made new models though.
Yeah.
But yeah. Horse Heresy, which getting an edition, currently a new edition with a ton of new models.
Oh man.
Legions Imperialis, which
has kind of become the redheaded stepchild, but we'll talk about.
There's a lot of redheaded stepchildren in this family. Age of Sigmar, big one. Warcry, another redheaded stepchild that's just sitting crying in the corner. Underworlds, which is somehow still getting releases, even though I don't think I've ever met a single person that has played it.
Even at Adepticon, there were only like 20 people.
Were they playing it though?
Yeah, there was like an event.
Interesting. I have heard of people that have played it and they like it. So I guess there's an audience for it. The models are always really cool.
I've almost gotten into it a couple of times, but
as far as I know, the desire for the models is probably from Warcry because a lot of them are busted
and it seems
in
like
Warcry.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I mean, I've bought some just because it's like, here's an alternate sculpt for this guy. But Underworlds, Blood Bowl, and I guess Blitz Bowl, but that
was a Barnes and Noble's one off, but it's a classic, or so I hear. I don't know.
But yeah, so Blood Bowl, and then also the Middle Earth strategy battle strategy game,
Which I have a book for now. I can't get rid of.
Whoops.
Did you mention the Old World?
No, Old World. Yeah, Old World too. They have a lot of games. They have, what is that? Like for their mainline war games, they have 4.
Well, yeah, mainline games, and then they have the boxed games, which I think covers like your Necromundas and stuff like that.
Yeah, so they have like I would say like skirmish and then war games. So 4 war games and then Middle Earth. So 5.
Jeez, yeah.
And then Kill Team, Necromunda. So like another 5 that are off to the side. So they've got like upwards of 10 games that they actively or slightly less actively, but they provide content for and have people working on.
Technically alive.
Yes. That are still supported on their site and still have rules and stuff you can find and are not cast away.
They didn't just disappear like Epic and all those games back in the early 2000s.
That is a lot of stuff.
That's a lot.
That is. And in a lot of ways, though, I do kind of appreciate the spread because I think everything at this point, except for fantasy, they have here's the big version of it and here's the small version of it. Because
I never even thought of them trying to be like, let's do a tiny skirmish game. Like, no.
Oh, yeah. Huh. Yeah, but so like, you get your Warcry to your Age of Sigmar. So they have like different buy-ins, right? Because I assume the point is because it's very hard, as we have found.
They cover a lot of bases.
Yes, they cover like all the bases. I mean, they're very thorough. And I think that's good to have buy-ins because I think from what I understand, and this is before my time, but from what I understand, part of the reason that it was more difficult in previous years to get into the hobby was that the buy-in is, here is what you have to play, and you have to go out and spend $500 base to get like 100 something.
Yeah.
Like you just have to buy an army.
I mean, that's still kind of a thing depending on the army in the game.
Yes, but you have the option now if you wanted to play Combat Patrol or Spearhead, you could buy a
Kill
box.
Team.
Yeah, or Kill Team or Warcry. You could buy a box and see how things work and see if you even like building models because I imagine you have
There's a market.
Yeah. Although, like we've mentioned, releases for some games are very infrequent.
Sure. I mean, Necromunda got a huge wave a month or 2 ago. There hasn't been anything since. But I think that's how Specialist Games does that, though, is they're on 3-month releases.
So every 3 months they get something? Or,
I think so. I think. There's been articles about it, but, unless it's coming from GW, it's just kind of guessing.
Yeah.
But it does appear that a lot of those Specialist Games are on like 3-month cycles.
Interesting. I haven't really paid that close attention.
I don't
the
either.
specifics, but
other podcasts or news sites or something will talk about things. Like, oh yeah, I guess that sounds right.
So for the most part, every 3 months, poor Warcry. Then
I think it's been since we played it since there's been anything for Warcry.
I think so. They did they're up to date though. There's nothing new that's not in there. But yeah, so a little bit spotty with some of those, and I guess Underworld's got a new release. I
have no idea.
Maybe
it's one of those like I've looked to get into it a couple of times, but it's like no.
I just see the models just because they get advertised a decent amount.
I got an old edition at a tournament just because it was like we have to throw this away, so they took the tag off of it to get their credit back and gave it to me as a prize, and I think I gave it to some guy's kid. I was like, here.
Oh, evidently all the editions are cross compatible. I think.
That's kind of neat, though.
Yeah, it's just like this is maybe not editions, but like this is this realm over here, and you can play also with this one. Just like a themed kind of set that everything's around.
Interesting.
But yeah, so releases are a little spread out
for some things.
For some things,
like so, I guess that actually kind of brings up an interesting question. How do you feel about the current release schedule for, let's just say, Warhammer 40K? Is it too much?
I think it depends. And that was actually a point I wanted to make is I think it's much improved from my understanding of how it was before as far as the balance between, I know there's still a lot of people that are unsatisfied with the ratio of certain factions getting stuff, but
it sells.
Well, we've gotten we got an Eldar refresh, we got a Tyranid refresh, we got an Orc refresh, we got a Necron refresh, we got an Emperor's Children and World Eaters refreshes. Although
refresh, that's full line.
Yeah,
that came out.
Which admittedly those are small, but we also got a new faction, Photon.
Yeah, Well,
Like, this is tail end of ninth,
New in
but I mean,
quotation marks, yes.
like, since I have been playing, which is like the last 3 or 4 years,
Right.
Like, they have had a pretty decent
they're putting stuff
offering.
out. Sure.
Yeah. Oh, and
not to
yeah,
mention the one-offs and
all
that
of
sort of thing.
Cadia got refreshed, and then they're releasing all of Krieg, which is straight up new models in a lot of cases. Like, they have unique models to them, like some of the weapons are.
I wanted Krieg back when it was a Forge World product, man.
I saw reviews of it and was like, no thanks.
Exactly.
Flashing. But yeah, so, and this is kind of a question for you because you have been engaged with Games Workshop for longer than I have. Was it more spotty back in the day as far as like, was it more imbalanced or less imbalanced?
They don't understand how good they have it. So I don't know how much you remember or have heard, but at one point, like, Sisters were an army, the Inquisition, it was a whole thing. And then like an edition came out and they didn't get an update, but everything was compatible because that's how it worked.
Yeah.
And then another edition came out and they didn't get an update. And then I think in 5th edition, they got 2 white dwarfs. They spread the codex out over 2 white dwarfs. And that's all they had until that big refresh they got in 8th or 9th.
Yeah.
That was it.
Wow.
Well, I think they got an index when 8th dropped, but it was just like, here, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but it was bad. But it used to be, every 3 months, an army would get an update. And that update might be a codex and only a codex. Or it might be like in 2010, I was talking on the Discord to somebody about it. When the Necron flyers got leaked was also when the Drakari refresh got leaked.
Oh.
So I was at a friend's Christmas, sitting on the couch with George, the guy that like really got me into Warhammer back in the day. And he passed. That was the last time I ever saw the guy.
Oh.
And that's why that night sticks out, is because last night I ever saw George. But I remember being on Warseer, and I think his name was Harry, was the guy that leaked everything. He had posted pictures and like the fuzzy like whatevers and talking about like, this is happening and Drakari's getting this, and the Raider's going to split into this kit and that kit, and Venoms are getting updates, and there's going to be flyers. And I was like, what? And that's when the Croissant leaked back in 2010.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my gosh, flyers are coming to the game.
That's cool.
And Necrons got them first. And they were the only army for like 6 months to have flyers.
Really? I would not have guessed Necrons would have been the first one.
That's what was in line to get updated.
Interesting.
But it was like 1 month you would get a Necron army, or a Warhammer army, 40K. And the next month, maybe a specialist game update would happen to something, like Battlefleet Gothic would get something.
Yeah.
And the next month, like Warhammer Fantasy might get an army update, or might get just a codex drop.
Okay.
And then the next month, it might be nothing.
Interesting.
So
you're talking about like new stuff being added. Was there the same amount of balance patches and like rules tweaks?
That did not happen.
Okay.
You might get an FAQ every couple years.
Interesting.
And it was like a 1-page, like, this is egregious and must be fixed.
Right. Where it's just if something's completely unplayable or just so absolutely broken.
That's just, and you can hear jokes about like in 6th and 7th edition, like the guard lawnmower or leaf blower list, because they just blew everything off the table in the first turn.
Oh, wow.
And there was nothing, FAQs just weren't a thing.
Wow.
So to have it now to where every 3 to 6 months we get updated points, FAQs, this is broken, let's fix it, let's tweak it, let's try something, is just, we're in the golden age of Games Workshop communicating, because even 5 or 6 years ago, Games Workshop had no internet presence other than their website. They didn't have a social feed. They weren't on Twitter. They didn't have a Facebook. They didn't have any way for you to communicate with them or for them to communicate to us.
Interesting.
So the only way we knew something was coming is Harry. I think his name was Harry. I don't remember the guy's username, but he was a legend. I could be like, oh, did you hear what Perry posted?
Yeah.
And that's, that was, everybody knew what you were talking about. That was it. That's how you knew what was coming out in 6 months.
Yeah.
Is because somebody at GW was talking to this guy.
Interesting.
Or, nobody knew who he was. There's been other podcasts that have talked about like how they found him.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. That's a story for later. Yeah, we are in a golden age of Warhammer updates right now. Even if Warcry got a minimal FAQ tomorrow, that's still better than it ever was pre like 2018.
Just having kind of it is what it is.
When 8th dropped, I think it's when they were like, we should talk to people.
How?
And they brought in playtesters. The CEO didn't want anything to do with anything.
Oh, wow.
And they changed CEOs around that time. And they brought in what is now the old website. He brought that in. He did all the changes. He brought back the socials. He made Warhammer Community. He did all this stuff to outreach. And look what it's done to their stock price. I mean, it is gone through the roof.
Yeah.
Quadrupled, I think, since then.
Wow.
Which it's not a lot, but it was like $20 a share. And now it's like 150.
Wow.
So, you tell me.
I think it's one of the top businesses in the UK.
Yeah. Boy, had young Kurt known to go invest in that. Like,
So how were codexes released, actually? Because I'm kind of curious. Was it
every 3 or 6 months? I mean, editions would last a long time.
It was like 5 years, wasn't it, or more?
Sometimes. It depends.
Interesting. It wasn't a set cycle.
I mean, now we're on a 3-year cycle, but I mean, I'm sure we could go back and check dates. I really should have looked at the question list before you sent me this, Mark.
Sorry.
But yeah, some editions would last quite a while. And I remember hearing a new edition was going to come out because like maybe White Dwarf would talk about it the month before. And that's it if you weren't on the rumor sites.
Wow.
I drove to Grand Adventures in Murfreesboro and, on release day, and they had their stack that was like 5 feet tall on their counter of just the, 4-inch thick codex. It's like, yes, I got one. Because, you didn't know when the restocks were going to happen or any of that. So.
Yeah. Interesting. That's so different.
And there was no digital anything. There was, their FAQ page would literally just be like, yeah, the Empire units can do this or something.
Yeah. Just like did they release separate things, or was that just like a White Dwarf? Like
just a PDF on the website. They truly just had like, this is it.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Just a single sentence.
So to get the updates we have now is just night and day. It is
very, very different. Interesting. I guess ideally then, because there's the other side of that I know some people, and I think it's probably some of us, and I do include myself in that, who don't have an opportunity to play as often. The constant shifts.
I'm torn on it myself.
I am too.
I like getting the updates when something is broken.
Yes.
But when you completely change like the way Gene Stealer Cult worked.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, I just learned this army and now I have to completely change the way I play. Well, even Drakari from 9th to 10th.
Oh, completely changed their like play style?
We were a melee army.
Really?
And now our melee units are bad and it's a shooting army.
You weren't mixed? I would have thought.
I mean, we had shots, but it wasn't like
that wasn't what you were playing for.
On that.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So Kabalites now then? Or just tanks or whatever?
I mean, yeah, because that's one of the few units that has anti-tank shots.
Interesting.
And they have rules to split and stuff like that. So they're popular. But yeah, I mean, you take them just to get your, 2 or 3 infantry choices or troop choices.
Yeah.
So we don't have those anymore either.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's, I don't know where I feel, because like in an ideal setting, like just completely removed from, I guess, reality, like how often would you want new stuff for your army? Because I don't know.
New stuff as in like an FAQ?
Just
or like
any
releases?
Of it. Like releases. Because I know a lot of, I mean, I guess, people will always have their concerns and complaints about it, but some armies do seem to not get, I mean, like Grey Knights, they've gotten what?
They got a Legend Dreadnought in their combat patrol?
Yeah. They got a single sprue for a kit that is notoriously mocked.
I stopped listening to the Long War for reasons, but I did listen to last week's episode where they had Mike Haspel, huge Grey Knight player, long time, whatever, and he went on just a tirade about how upset he was that like they could have done anything with that combat patrol, but what they did, it would have been better. But every single unit in that combat patrol has been out for like 15 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, clearly they're clearing stock.
Yes.
And it's like...
The Dreadnought is really bad.
He's Legends. He's literally Legends.
I did not even know that much. I just thought it was...
So like maybe it in the Codex it comes back. Wow. I don't know.
Wow.
He seems to think they're going to get rolled into like Imperial Agents or something, like Deathwatch did, just because it's like, you gave us nothing. We haven't been Primaris.
Yeah.
The only thing we got upgrade-wise was a new sprue/arm for the Dread Knight that's already like 20 years old. Like, this doesn't look good.
Yeah.
So he's very upset.
I hadn't really considered that they might roll it back, like not have it separate thing. I've been expecting, and maybe it's an 11th edition thing, but I was expecting a range refresh.
A lot of people were.
Evidently, they have been disappointed.
But I kind of, back in the day, like Blood Angels and Dark Angels were in the same book or something.
Yeah.
Because it's
Angels of Death was the book, right?
Uh-huh. And all your, So it's like, I see the appeal, but now like look at Space Wolves. Like most of those units, and they actually made some really good arguments on that. But like maybe if you're playing those codexes that have all these crazy extra units, you don't get access to the Space Marine stuff.
Honestly, I kind of feel like it should be that way. Like
maybe certain things, but like if you've got Wolfen, maybe not get this, or if you've got these special Terminators, you don't get. And they've kind of done that a little bit. But I think they should really restrict it more. Yeah.
Well, it's like if you have your, and I don't remember what fancy special snowflake replacement the Space Wolves have for intercessors are, but they have
Grey Hunters and Blood.
They have direct replacements for intercessors and assault intercessors.
Those Grey Knights, man. Whew, the new kit. Don't do it, Kurt. Don't go back.
Oh, the Grey Hunters, the one. They look neat, but it's like they shouldn't have access to the normal stuff then. And honestly,
I feel like it used to be more restricted, but maybe, I don't know. I mix editions real hard.
My only knowledge of that is going and binge watching Snipe and Wib and their Codex compliant episodes. They just go and like flip through the whole book and make videos on it. So that's how I knew like Angels of Death was when they were rolled together. But yeah, it's kind of, but I don't know, because you do want new stuff, right? Sure. But you don't want to always.
I don't want a new model or new unit every month for my army. No. Otherwise, either everything's getting refreshed every other year, or so is it a 10-year cycle? I mean, I know the plan with Marines was to phase out all the old stuff.
That's taken a lot longer than I ever would have thought. They got a
lot more flack than they thought they were going to.
Yeah.
So I think that pushed it back, but I think 11th, everything old is gone.
I do wonder because I know the initial Primaris met with a lot of weeping and gnashing of teeth.
They weren't any better. Except they had 2 wounds, and that's why you took them. It was just an extra sponge.
But I mean, also just a lot of people didn't like the aesthetic and all that stuff, and they were not direct replacements as far as their function.
Right? Yeah, they didn't have Devastators. They didn't, and they just got those 3 years later.
Yeah,
3 editions later. So
sort of. We don't have a direct. We have Desolation Marines, but that's the thing is like we don't have. Sternguard and Terminators were the first direct replacements that we got, and those launched with 10th.
And they're just bigger. They're not really.
They're identical. It is funny now that like the Terminators are not specific whether they're Primaris or Firstborn. They're just Terminators, which kind of should be how it is anyway.
Yeah, no, right.
But I wonder if the reaction they got to that pushed back them.
I would think so.
Doing like Sternguard, because we still have like Vanguard veterans and
well, I guess we have Jump Pack Intercessors.
We have Jump Pack Intercessors, but we don't have the vets of those, and we don't have, like you say, Devastators.
Well, vets are just rocking heirloom weapons now, aren't they? Though they don't get all their customized stuff. I think so, because I got a bunch for my Raven Guard, and that's really why I pushed to sell everything.
Yeah, which would be really cool if we got new Vanguard veterans that were just, I mean, veterans in general. I love them. They're some of my favorites.
But I have to have the option to have an axe or a sword or a maul.
Which they won't do that.
I know.
Which, at least aesthetically, you don't get punished as hard.
Right.
Where it's like,
let me do what I want on. I don't care if it's heirloom, but like give me the option to have swords or axes or something cool.
No, that's fair. Right. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the points
that's
I do
tough
like.
Because we've got a rumored Drukhari refresh coming. Maybe.
When is that rumored?
It's rumored. It's not on the timeline. It's not.
Oh, wow.
All we have seen is a potentially leaked character.
Isn't that one of yours?
I mean, it's for the Poison Tongue. She's like the main lady for the Poison Tongue Cabal, which is how I painted mine.
Oh,
kind of sort of themed based off of the poison.
Adjacent.
Yeah. But it's like the last refresh was now 15 years ago. But I'm immediately like, oh man, all my Cabalites, all my witches, all my are just going to be, I mean, granted, I can still use them unless there's some crazy change. But I'm suddenly afraid, like it's finally happening to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, definitely as a Marine player, I am not getting any more Firstborn unless they're for heresy.
Well, and they're scaled up now too, though. They're huge.
Yeah,
like
they're
a centimeter higher than the old stuff, which makes me sad. We're just going to mix them all in. It's fine.
It's fine. It's just different armor marks, right?
What else you got on the list there? Because we spent like 20 minutes talking about that. Oops, sorry.
It's fine.
Are we going to have our first 3-hour episode?
Oh, I hope not.
Did we just become the Eye of Horus? Get the scotch.
Yes. So correct me if I'm wrong, and you might know this. This would be off the top of your head thing. Was part of Fantasy's problem kind of that here was the army, you would buy all that, and then you just never had to buy anything
Pretty much.
again?
I mean, and that's kind of how you played 40K back in the day too, though. But with Fantasy, I mean, you had to have so many models. I played Tomb Kings. That was my first army, which are mostly skeletons.
Yeah.
And it was like, I need 95 skeletons.
Oh,
I was like, cool. So I have to buy 9 boxes? Ooh, okay. Then you're looking on the internet back in the day, like, where can I find tiny skeletons?
Yeah.
Same with the archers. I was like, I need 60 archers. Wow. I gotta buy 6 boxes plus your characters.
Yeah.
Plus your monsters. Plus your elite stuff.
Wow.
But yeah, once you had it, it's like, nope, that's what I play. And that I played the, I think I talked about it last time, a couple episodes ago. The High Queen Khalida gave all your archers in the unit she joined poison.
Oh, that's cool.
So suddenly you have like 40 archers just always hitting on 5s. Doesn't matter.
Volley fire.
Oh, your tank?
Poison.
Don't care. Oh, your unit, whatever. No modifications. Always hit on 5s.
Awesome.
Now, granted, it couldn't get better,
But
but it could get worse.
Yeah.
Oh, I moved? No penalty here.
Wow.
Because it was a penalty for being so far away, and a penalty for moving, and a penalty for...
So you just have a flat value. Just fire.
I hit on 5s.
Awesome.
It was sweet. So I got her in the biggest unit. And because only the first 2 ranks could fire, I would make them as wide as possible. So I'd have my archer line.
Oh, that's really cool.
Because that's how that worked.
Yeah.
And you could only fight 2 rows deep unless you had spears. And spears could go 3 rows deep.
Oh.
So that's why my wife's high elves, it was all spearmen. Because it was like units of 30, 10 wide, 3 deep.
Oh,
everybody could attack.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I did not realize that. So... But I guess, and like you say, 40K was the same way, but there has definitely been a change in philosophy because I remember it was from it was either a White Dwarf or something, but there was an article written by a Games Workshop employee who was basically, this was an article on like building your army. And it was kind of funny to read, but it was like, have your guys make a list. Don't deviate from that list. Don't get anything else.
Yeah.
Those are your guys.
Yeah. This is your army. That's
so different now. That's very different.
In 40K, yes. But like in Heresy, you build your fluffy list. And like...
That's true.
I want to run all Jump Pack Raven Guard. Like, I don't care about tanks.
Yeah.
That's what the Death Guard are for one day.
Yeah, yeah.
So... Yeah, I mean, and there's so many units, and the meta can, there's units in the Codex that I've never seen on the table at Space Marines that have been in those books for 5 editions.
Oh, yeah. And there's probably a reason you haven't seen them on the table.
Yeah, no. When was the last time you saw like a Whirlwind? Granted, they're legends now, but...
Yeah, I was going to say, I've never have I seen a Whirlwind.
In all of my games, I don't think I ever saw one.
I saw them on the shelf collecting dust.
I haven't seen a Razorback, pour one out, since like 7th. Like
they still exist.
Do they?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. They're awful because they can only take
5 non-Primaris
They can
models?
take 5 or 6.
They gave 1 to everything.
Yeah, but it's only non-Primaris. So it's like I'm stuck with Devastator Marines.
Yeah.
That is it. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of one thing too, is that if there's always kind of new stuff being pumped in, it's difficult a little bit.
So with that though, do you think they have like more tank replacements and stuff waiting and they're waiting to put that out?
I hope so. Cause
I mean, do you rip the Band-Aid off or do you keep like drip feeding replacement stuff? Like that's a weird, cause they've got like hundreds of thousands of kits of stuff sitting in a warehouse. Like, do they just chuck that?
I kind of Well, what's weird to me is that Space Marines are the only ones, as far as I'm aware, that have gotten this treatment where you're not getting improved things of the same. You're not getting new models. You're getting different models, with the exception of Terminators and Stern Guards. So they've shown us that they can do it.
They can.
But we don't have Rhinos. We have Impulsors
Where was this
now.
3 editions ago?
Yeah.
You know?
And I do kind of wonder if the Primaris thing, they thought, oh, and then didn't do that for anyone else. Because Tyranids aren't that way. Eldar aren't that way. Necrons aren't that way. They are making refreshes of the existing stuff.
And even now it seems like they're just making the bigger versions. Like, why not just call the Primaris guys, the Intercessors, like Tactical Squad and call it a day?
Yeah, but I would be perfectly happy. I mean, in lore wise now it's kind of, I think, set, but just they're just Marines. Doesn't matter. They're, if you want to call them Intercessors, then whatever, that's fine. And
I think they're getting to that. But
yes, slowly. But I don't know. I'm scared because the Vindicator was the first tank I ever bought.
Such a cool tank.
That has been in every game I have played since I built it.
And it can continue to be in every game that you play in the Heresy.
It is staying in my collection regardless. It's like my Land Raider, my Vindicators, and Predators. They're all going to Heresy if they pull the plug. But yeah, I don't know. I think I would prefer them to rip off the Band-Aid.
Yeah, just get it over with at this point. Especially, like we talked about last episode. There could be an explosion of interest here, and you don't want a bunch of people buying into something
that is then going to
literally killing it next edition.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do it, just get rid of it now.
I would rather,
I think, hold that TV show until 11th drops. For the love of all things holy and the Emperor.
I would rather them do what they did for Age of Sigmar, where it's like, here is the list of models that you have
1 year.
A year.
That's
so much, because then if you really want the models, go buy the models, pay the models, play with them, do whatever.
I think I gave away all of those dudes to somebody at Polyhedron.
Yeah.
Because everything I had for Stormcast was going to go away. So I was like, here, just somebody take these. I don't care. Paint them, throw them away, give them to your cousin.
I would rather find out a year in advance than find out when I crack open the codex.
It's 7 a.m. when the rumors hit.
Yeah.
Oh, this is removed from the app.
Yep. It's just like, because wait, they are replacing some stuff too. They've really blurred the lines because like drop pods are unchanged. They're just
different. I can't wait to see how those get built.
The models.
I'm really excited. They're hollow.
And they're permanently open too. Which,
pour one out. But they look cool.
Yes.
I hope it's the same scale. Heresy players are a little concerned, but that's,
maybe a little bit bigger, but
it's fine.
I mean, yeah, no.
What else you got?
So I guess we've kind of beat around the bush on this in particular, but how much live support do you think a game needs? Because I'm kind of in the camp of, let me put it this way. How much live support for rules updates and new stuff does chess get?
It depends, I think, on how much they've tweaked it. Like, it's tough. Because if you're not doing updates to things, nobody's really buying things, as we've kind of seen.
So I guess I understand that from a company perspective.
Sure.
From a player perspective.
Sure.
The only downside I see to a game being air quotes dead is supply.
Well, I was going to say, once those rule books are gone, unless you're printing your own, which most people aren't going to do.
Which for stuff that has rules online,
sure,
it's easy enough. Because I think we mentioned before the episode, Mordheim has persisted.
They've got a living rule set the community has made.
The community is supporting it,
which is crazy.
It's wild. Heroescape too.
But with Mordheim, when they officially killed it, they put out all of the PDFs
for free. Just like,
they gave they did that with they killed when they killed Specialist Games back in 2012, 2013, something like that. They just were like, here, it's going away. Take it. We're done. And Battlefleet Gothic,
probably Epic at that point, and
I think Epic. Of course, the community has ran with it, made their own edition. They've FAQ'd the edition. There's a couple different groups of people out there.
Yeah,
but for the most part, I faintly remember I downloaded all the books. Of course, they're gone now.
Yeah,
but I was like, I have to save them all.
Yeah.
I might play one day. I haven't touched any of them.
But like in the cases where that actually happens, like I mean, Heroescape has somehow supported a community
who was like, you know what? I want to go back and play Heroescape from.
Apparently, because my best friend and I still bought and sold it and played it way past it being discontinued. But the game has been like not even discontinued, out of print for like 15 years, and the game is back. And it was entirely maintained. The interest was maintained. Somehow the value of the stuff still maintained.
Crazy.
For 15 years, enough that they brought it back. So clearly, and there was no support. There was nothing.
When we played our game, Shane came over. He was like, "Hey man, do you want to play Heroescape?" And I was like, "What?" But I've seen it at stores.
Yeah.
So
is
it selling though?
I assume so, because now,
I mean, just because
they're
it's
selling painted and unpainted models both.
Oh,
because the originals were all painted, and they were kind of concerned that the upfront cost would be too much. So they have 2 price points to get into it now, which I hope they'll do something to re-release the old stuff, because it's backwards compatible. Okay. It's all one. They did a balance patch on all the stuff, but live support is optional, I guess. I don't know. I've talked to a lot of people, and I know when X-Wing lost live support, a lot of people were really,
I mean, Jeff had just bought into that game, and it killed
bad.
all of his interest. And I told him, I was like, man, don't do it. And he did it. So I remember they killed it the first time.
But so I have not gotten rid of my stuff. I loaded up on everything that I could possibly want.
There's still a lot at the Deep in Huntsville.
I don't doubt it. But at this point, I have like 5 little boxes, 5 cases of the minis.
That's awesome, though.
What's that? These games that we have, like, editions come and go, and games come and go, and companies come and go. But ultimately, this is a physical product. Mm-hmm. It's not like a video game where they just pull the plug on the server. Yeah. We could play this like the apocalypse happens tomorrow and there's no power and no electricity. We can crack open the rule book. Admittedly, I don't think our priorities will be doing that, but we could go back and play, first edition Warhammer if we really wanted to, like RPG and all.
I don't know. I think you still need to be updating products or something.
Just have it available for people to get.
I know we have begged for a living edition of 40K. It's never going to happen because of book sales.
Yeah.
But I think if they would just make it like a 5-year cycle, give the edition a chance to get fixed. Because I feel like 9th was in a great place when they killed it for 10th.
It's changed.
And then we went back to Index Hammer.
It changed so much in the last year.
Yes.
That it kind of threw me off.
Yeah, but my army was good and I liked it, and I knew the edition very well.
In a better place when it ended, but it was like...
But Index Hammer just really broke me.
Just because a lack of options, or?
No, just everything, Space Marines got their book.
Yeah.
Space Marines were on top.
Oh.
Tyranids came out. Tyranids were on top. And you were suddenly better than the 22 other codexes out there, indexes out there.
And the Necrons came out and they deleted the play style that I wanted to play.
Right. And I think that's why indexing is just bad. So I hope 11th doesn't do that. It seems to be every other edition. So maybe we'll get everything in a good place. Drakari will get a codex next May, and then, new edition in June. And I hope I still get to use the codex.
So how, I guess I was going to ask then, which you may have just answered, how does it work on an edition of the game that's not Index Hammer? You use the previous...
No major updates, yeah.
Interesting.
There might be an FAQ just to, if they update the way combat works, they might FAQ all the codexes to say, instead of this, do this.
Yeah. Okay.
But generally, it's not bad. I don't want to say it's unnecessary, but there's enough tweaks to make you have to kind of buy the book. So they might get rid of stratagems, or they might get rid of secondaries, and that changes,
Just enough to change the context. Yeah, I do think 3 is too fast. Because, I mean, it is kind of impressive, though, with the width and breadth of Games Workshop's game systems, that they are still updating as fast for the most part. Like, I know...
well, look at Necromunda, right? When it re-released in 2018, which is crazy to think that's been 7 years. Oh my God, I'm getting old. That first rulebook is technically still valid. Really? All they have done is add things to it. And they've FAQ'd a few things and updated it.
Yeah.
The most up-to-date rulebook is in one of the boxes I have, but there's nothing stopping me from getting that first edition rulebook, which I think we used when we played our demo game.
Yeah.
And just kind of using that. And sure, this might tweak or that might be different or whatever, but they haven't really updated a lot.
They did that with Warcry too, where it's just the only change from first to second was they added reactions.
Oh.
That was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So print those 3 pages and put them in the back of your
there might have
book
been small little things, but
yeah.
it's not like a 9th to 10th or evidently a 2nd heresy to 3rd heresy.
That's a whole topic on its own. I'm not ready for that.
I'm not either.
But yeah.
Interesting. But
So
yeah.
I think it's possible. I guess I don't understand why they're so keen on completely rebuilding the rule system for all of their games every edition or every other edition. Because they did that with Age of Sigmar this last edition.
Yeah.
Everybody got indexed. It was a completely, mostly different game when 4th came out.
Oh, yeah. I don't have my battle tome for my Seraphon. I'm on index still.
Oh, I guess we do. I didn't buy it, but...
You technically have it, yeah.
Yeah, but it's whatever. Cities doesn't have it either.
Oh, yeah.
For what it's worth.
That's probably why you don't have endless spells yet. Because I don't. True. Or manifestations or whatever.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And see, that scares me too, like we've talked about.
What will change? What gets cut?
Yeah, like do the Dark Elves get cut and go back?
Yeah.
Dwarfs probably aren't going to make it because they're now Old World, so they're not going to be in the Cities book.
Has that model range been shifted over officially yet, or are they just kind of...
They're not on the Cities of Sigmar page anymore.
Ooh, that's
because all that is available now is dwarf units.
That's not a good sign.
Yep. So, and how does that affect things?
Yeah.
Even the Empire units that were in Cities of Sigmar, like the Steam Tank. It's not on Cities of Sigmar on the website anymore.
I can see now why you did not get a Steam Tank.
I want one. But same with the Dark Elf. Same with I'd love to have a little dwarf contingency.
Yeah.
But if they're not going to exist in the book in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months.
The unknown is rough.
So that's why I had to scrap playing the army right now. Like, I love the new stuff, but I need more.
Yeah. No, it's not a full army yet. But
soon.
Yeah, I do. I think overall, I guess my thoughts are I do wish they divvied out a little bit more to the factions that are parched, like poor Grey Knights.
Pour one out.
But
let me pose a question to you.
Okay.
Don't want to get political. Tariffs are now a thing. I wonder, because books are a huge profit deal for GW.
Yeah.
If that will push them towards more digital releases or digital options instead of paying anywhere from 50 to 150% on a book.
Yeah.
Do they, and I don't know if they get around that if they ship to England first and then ship here. Because all their books are printed in China.
I don't know.
But even taking the 10 or 20% hit coming from Europe, like, is that worth it to them then to try to sell?
I hope their response is not just to hike up the price of the books by like double or something.
Oh, you don't know Games Workshop.
Well,
do you want to drive people to Wahapedia? Because that's how you drive people to Wahapedia.
That's kind of the problem, though, is like, surely they're aware.
Oh, they have to. They can't touch it. It's in Russia.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I would love it if they release just like paid PDFs or something. Like,
I've showed you the 8th edition Warriors of Chaos book that I still have in my Apple Books library.
I don't know why they don't do that alongside.
I could click a unit and click his universal special rule, and it would pull up the rule and tell me exactly what it was.
I'm baffled that they don't do it alongside because it costs them very minimal. There's no.
No, I will say, when they did that, people would literally screenshot the 300-page book and post it on the internet. But the convenience of clicking it, I bought the High Elf book, I bought the Chaos book, I bought the Warhammer rule book. So technically, I still have everything I need to play High Elves, Warriors of Chaos, and Warhammer Fantasy Battles in my iPad library.
Interesting. I will say, yeah, they can take screenshots, but I've also seen plenty of PDFs that are just scans of the actual. So it's
I've got everything from like 7th, 8th, and 9th just to have like a copy of it.
I would much rather them
instead of keeping a bookshelf worth of books.
Yeah.
If I ever want to go back and like, oh man, reminisce about 8th edition, Space Wolves, I can do that.
And even if they want to separate it to where it's just the rules you get for the PDF, you don't get the lore, you don't get the fluff, you don't get the paint schemes or the pictures or anything, just make it the data cards.
Well, do Warhammer Plus, add $5 to it.
Yeah.
You have the PDFs anyways. You have to send that to the printer.
I'll double down on that too now because the codexes are out of date before they even get printed. And it's like, straight up unit stat changes, like points or whatever. I don't even think they put points in the codex anymore. Oh, they do.
They're out of date before.
I never look at them. I forget they're there.
Yep.
But
why?
Yeah.
Save the 3 pages, knock 20 cents off the book, man. Come on.
Yeah. Well, just the units get changed. Like, that's the thing too. I have the unit cards just because I like having something in front of me.
I've got the G Stealer Cult ones. I tried to use them once and was like, oh, this isn't right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all my Marines changed. Like,
that rule doesn't exist anymore.
Their stats are straight up different. Like my intercessors are all different. Their abilities, they completely reworked those. Yeah. The
that's
heavy intercessors are totally different.
Yep.
Blade guard totally different. Stern guard totally different. Like, all of my core bread and butter units are completely wrong in the codex. So just
you'd probably make more money because right now you have to buy the codex to unlock the thing that you're already paying monthly for. Just charge me $10 and make me pay $5 a month. I'd pay it. I'd probably buy more.
Yeah, it's kind of getting people to look at the rules gets you more model sales because I will tell you, since all of Warcry's rules are free for whatever reason, I looked at a lot of different factions. You know, ballpark how many factions I have.
I saw your bins.
It's 10 plus factions for Warcry. And it's because I can see what they do. I can figure it out. And then, I'll get some of those then.
And that's what I do on like Wikipedia though.
Yeah.
Is I go on there to be like, how does this work?
Yes.
Or how does Tau work? I'm not pirating it. I'm not, playing Tau. But when I see a cool list and I need to understand
what it does,
whatevers, do I go spend $60 on a book or go on a website?
Yeah, that's actually a different point too,
That's a
where
whole
it's
other
like
topic.
Well, just having your opponent's rules behind a paywall.
And when I would go to a tournament, I would always have my phone and I would be like, "Oh, you're playing Sister Battle. What thing are you?" And I would select, whatever their detachment was, and have the rules in front of me.
Yeah.
How does this affect those units? And I can, while he's moving or whatever, I can be reading up on what they're doing.
Interesting.
Something there, GW.
It
charge me for it. I will pay.
I mean, I'm more of a fluffy player, admittedly. So
I've gotten that way.
Yeah.
Neckbeard Kurt, try hard from a year or two ago, doesn't exist anymore.
I don't mind playing a game competitively, but I am not usually by default trying to list build that way. I'm trying to make something good.
Right.
But there's also, I like these guys, I like these guys, I like these guys. Let me slam them together and see what they do.
And there's talk. Jordan wants to go to Cherokee to play Sigmar with the unit that she has assembled. So I don't know if she's going to be built and painted for that. But, if I go, it's like, I'll try.
Yeah.
I'm not going to win it. I know that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go have fun, drink some beer.
Yeah.
Meet people, give out dice and stickers. Who knows? You might be able to tag along too, Mark.
Oh my!
Any other topics or points on that?
No, it's kind of just like my stance, I guess. Ultimately, is I would like the game state. I appreciate the course corrections.
Yes,
when there's something really wrong, but I would like the game state to be a little bit more
down.
But yeah, so just let it roll a little bit and kind of not maybe so much of the new hotness is the thing you absolutely have to have, and maybe don't delete play styles from the game, like pour one out for endless swarm.
2 or 3 Gene Stealer Cult ways to play we've had this edition.
And poor Silvertide for Necrons. It needed a nerf, it got deleted.
So I thought of a question while we were talking.
Send it.
How do you feel about Kill Team's influence on Warhammer 40,000? The unit comes out with a special configuration, and then that unit gets changed in Warhammer or whatever to kind of fit the Kill Team aesthetic.
I'm torn on it.
Like the Corsairs, for example.
I kind of have the same... I don't know if it's a problem, but I have the same thoughts that I do with Warcry and Age of Sigmar, where it's like, this doesn't feel like this fully fits.
Oh, okay.
Like, so some things like the Raveners, you have the weird, freaky version that's for Kill Team where they're all different. And then you can build them normally for Warhammer.
When that's kind of, where it's at, because like you buy the Corsairs, for example, and like there's units with these weapons have this stat line and this, and use with that weapon have that. And it's like, well, do you, how I don't know. It's interesting. And I know it's happened to like the Vespids and things like that too. They came out in Kill Team, but now it's a 40K thing, and you could only get it because you're buying the Kill Team box, not...
Which they have like none of the fancy guns or anything in the 40K version, by the way.
Oh, I know. I know.
Or they do if you build a full brick of 10.
I really consider getting some of the Drakari Kabalite squads because they have different bits and different builds and different heads and all that. I was like, oh.
I mean, that's how they release Space Marine Scouts too.
But I don't know if, are they doing that to sell more kits outside of Kill Team? Or are they, like, I don't know.
I assume Kill Team's just a bonus. It's just kind of we're going to release this as Kill Team. We know all the 40K players.
We know the Kill Team box will sell out if we include this hot new thing. And if, I don't know. It's a weird spot.
Because the Kill Team versions are more expensive.
Yeah.
Because there's like the Kill Team version of the Pathfinders for Tau. And they come with an extra sprue, though.
Oh.
It's like, here's different legs, here's different heads. And I think they did the same thing with Infiltrators. For Space Marines. Yeah. Here's an extra sprue in there, and Scouts are they're 2 mirrored sprues or 2 duplicated sprues. So, So, I don't know. At least they're getting new models. Like Scouts needed new models for a very, very, very long time.
Yes.
So, and Vespids too.
I've still got 2 units of those here somewhere that I didn't let go with my Space Wolves.
So
they had sniper rifles.
I guess. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just interesting, I guess.
Yeah. I would not have guessed that would be how they do it. That they roll out something for Kill Team and then you just buy it to play with in 40K normally.
But I wonder if something like that is really what's propping up like Kill Team.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Is that the only reason it still exists? Because on paper, it looks like it's selling out to some finance guy or the board. So all this being said, do you think GW has kind of spread themselves too thin with the released windows and things? And then sometimes we get that weird where it's like, oh, I get no releases this week. Is I don't know. Like,
I think
production capacity is an issue.
Yeah. And they are making a new factory, right?
Apparently that's just paint from what I saw online.
Okay.
They opened up the second factory. They're about to open the second factory, but factory number 3 that they're starting on, they just apparently want to bring the paint production in-house.
Makes sense.
Because,
greater control over it too, plus.
Bingo.
And yeah. Okay. But I mean, still helping their stock. I think it's decent. I have, like I said, my complaints would be, please, for the love of everything, just slow it down as far as rules changes. Models, you always have the free will not to buy the models, right? Like no one's putting, at least...
I've been really good about FOMO here lately.
Hey, that's good. No one has put a gun to my head yet and demanded that I buy a new Space Marine thing.
True.
So, yeah. I guess live support... Ultimately, if people do feel the need to kind of have a game that is being updated, I still maintain like chess hasn't gotten any updates recently, and that's still pretty popular. For chess, no, they didn't get the DLC. No, no points changes for chess this week.
Oh,
yeah. What about you?
I think they are, just in the sense to where it feels like there's not very many people working on things. So Specialist Games is its own like category or own department.
Yeah.
And they run Blood Bowl, Necromunda, all those Middle Earth. Is it Specialist? I think it's Specialist Games now. I think they run all, and it's like, you've got like 5 people working on all of that. Like, is that enough? Like, I don't know.
I'm not sure. I think overall, though, kind of if you compare it to other games, like you say, this is kind of like a golden age for just content from them in general, communication. I don't like every change that they make to points or rules or whatever, but they are present. Like you say,
true.
The fluffy part of me would love it if things were locked for 5 years and I could figure it out.
That'd be great.
I don't know if I would be saying that if I was in that situation and my favorite units were garbage for 5 years and unusable. So
yeah, but if they're patching it every 6 months or a year, I mean, most people have 2 armies, which is why I teched into so many at different times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well,
interesting, but no, no particular answer. I mean,
just a discussion, I think, more than anything. And
I think they're doing the best they can with the resources they have.
On that note, I was forming a question and I was going to scrap it, but the way you worded that, every year they give their employees good bonuses. What if instead of giving like all those employees like $1,000 or whatever it is, they took that and they hired 3 or 4 more developers?
So they wouldn't have to work overtime constantly?
Well, not overtime even, but like, hey, if we put a couple more people working on this, like the balance, whatever, would that make a difference, you think?
Depends. I mean, it would make the less of a workload, obviously. More people makes the...
Sure. And and I don't even know, like, would it be like design team? Would it be rules team? Would it be where,
There's
production.
So many layers because it's like, I'm sure you're aware, like how long it takes for a model to get from start to finish. It's like upwards of 3 years from concept to production.
I think it's sped up quite a bit.
It probably has.
I mean, do you dump all that money for a couple of years into 3 new mold presses or whatever? And I worked in plastic injection locally for quite a while.
Yeah.
So I know that industry very well from both sides of the building.
Yeah.
And on one side of the building was a business that made the tool and die and, made the molds. And on the other side, they actually pressed the plastic through those same molds.
Okay.
So I really got to see it start to finish. My office was across the hall from the designers. So the guys would be over there, like literally designing the gigantic, like size of this table mold.
Wow.
And they would send it down to the floor of business A, who paid half of my salary. And it would be those gigantic aluminum, making the mold for like a car bumper.
Yeah.
And they'd sit there and whatever, and they'd make it, and they'd do the other side. And to test it, they would run it over to one of the machines in the other building when it was down.
That's cool.
Throw it up there and just, how does it look?
Yeah.
And they'd hold it up the light, do all the things and test the whatevers and go up and he'd tweak it. And then they'd cut out another one.
Interesting.
And, it's neat to see how fast it can be. But if they're not making the molds in-house, that's a huge, because they got to ship it and try it. Oh, that arm doesn't come out right. Send it back. And that's like a 3-month window.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And plus you also have even before the designs get touched, I mean, there's all the approval processes. You have to have the lore and the design of the rules and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And
I love listening to people that used to work for GW talk to other people that used to work to GW.
Yeah.
And just hearing them talk about the process and how this worked and like...
It's fascinating.
I think, the paint phase used to have Peachy and he talked to the older guy and they were buddies about everything and they'd bring on a lot of people. And then now they have a new podcast. I haven't listened to it at all, but it's Peachy, Louise, and Rob from The Honest Wargamer.
Oh, wow.
And they just talk about stuff.
That sounds
And it's
cool.
I'm shocked they haven't been hit with an NDA or, or something's come up. Maybe they didn't sign one. I don't know. But hearing those company secrets, it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
But then it's like, that's how it functions? Like, you couldn't do that better?
Interesting.
So, I don't know. All right. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
No, I think that about covers it for this one. Just kind of all things considered, though, we are kind of in a very impressive age for like how much
it really
stuff is out there. Not even just with Games Workshop, just in general.
And they're doing a great job. I want to say that here at the end. Like, I love the new models. The Cathay models, they've knocked it out of the park.
The models are almost always good.
I've talked myself out of buying that so many times. They're beautiful.
Even if like a given model style isn't my thing, the quality
I can appreciate it.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't like the Illyrio, but like that is an awesome model to be 10 years old now.
Yep.
Like that thing holds up.
It's wild. Like
they do good things.
Yes.
There's things I'd like for them to do better.
There are a lot of things I would like them to do better, but
I'm still a GW fanboy for the most part. Still here.
I buy their products. Yes. I don't know if I'd say fanboy, but I am a fan of their
the media. I love the stories. I do I'm going through Gotrek and Felix right now. Like I'm built a room about it.
There's a lot of
Space Marine helmets.
Love
like, come on,
put into it.
Yeah,
And I do appreciate. I will always appreciate the love that goes into, even when there are aspects that I don't
course.
don't favor the love and care that goes into making it is, I mean,
There's passionate people there.
There's a reason it's as popular as it is, right?
Exactly. And it's been around.
Yep.
And it's been passionate for that long. So, all right. So I'm Kurt.
I'm Martin.
And we'll talk to you next time.
See you then.